actor and star of SEAL Team, a former Delta Force operator, and all-out badass. Now he's writing books. Tyler Gray joining us right now. Hi, Tyler.
Hi.
How
Thank
you
you so
doing?
much for having me.
Yeah, thanks
Great.
for being here. You're a busy dude, so thanks for making time for little old me. Appreciate it.
No, my pleasure.
All right. So what was it like being on SEAL Team? Kind of like reality?
Well, it's like I tell people, it's hard to equate it to feeling like the military when you see behind the camera and someone's eating a plate of sushi. So it's a very different experience than reality, but it looks very good on camera.
Yeah, it does. It looks great, and it looks authentic, and that's why I love the show. And I always feel like it makes me prouder and prouder of America every time I see it. But then you have to realize you really were a former Delta Force operator, and you did that stuff.
Well, not so much in water, as I always joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very strange. It's hard to explain. What a strange dichotomy it was for me. Being in the military and special operations in real life, and then doing it on TV. It was a very interesting contrast. But for me, it was like therapy because I was. I got injured and medically retired, and so for me, being on the show is kind of like, it allowed me to jump back. Obviously, it wasn't real, but it was enough of an experience similar that it made me kind of. It gave me another chance to actually let go of that job because I wasn't able to let go of it earlier. Or I didn't. I should say I didn't choose. When or how it ended in my military career. So that was it was a great opportunity on the show to be able to recognize that and kind of use it as therapy to transition away from that loss.
Well, and I love that you did what you did for our country. So thank you for your service. I'm sorry that it got cut short by an injury.
Oh, it's a normal, a very normal potential side effect. And, I don't, when you decide to join the military, there's definitely a possibility that you're, going to get injured and or killed. And so, for me, I don't really have a problem with how it happened. It was frustrating, but it was definitely within the realm of, what I knew very much as a very real and legitimate risk. And so, it happens.
Yeah. His book is called Forged in Chaos, A Warrior's Origin Story, and I love that name, first of all. You can get it everywhere, right? Selling it all over.
Yeah, the audiobook actually just came out on, it doesn't matter, a couple of weeks ago, and I did the reading myself. I'm very excited about that. It's a very, a book and an audiobook, to me, are it's the same story, obviously, but, with me reading it, it's a very different, kind of reminds me of, the radio shows way back when, how, they'd read you a story over the radio, and it's kind of like that. So I hope people that check that out enjoy it. I tried to do the best job I could of putting myself, in that, in those places mentally when I was reading, the book, and so I hope people enjoy it.
They will. I have no doubt about it. I mean, just going off your character. I when I saw your picture, I'm like, oh, I totally remember him in the show. But you just look like somebody's dad. It's weird how you take these guys who are capable of doing such harm and such good at the same time, because one's good for one side and one's bad for the other. But it just looks like your uncle. It's like you're capable of this stuff, and it's hard to believe that you did it, but you did.
Well,
so
I'll say another. I'll say obviously this is the opposite of myself, but you're going to know where I'm coming from with this. Is think of every serial killer you've ever seen. What do they always say?
Exactly. Yeah, I would have never known. He was so quiet.
Yeah, exactly. It's people. Everyone. Everyone, or every human, I should say, in my opinion, is within them is someone capable of creation as well as destruction, and it's about steering towards the creating side and away from the destruction side. That being said, you take any father, not any father, I'm sure, but any good father, and threaten their family, and they will go destructive, rightfully so. So we all have it in us, and it just depends on if it gets activated or not.
Yeah. Well, I always say I might be a single woman with kids in my house, but if you get through my 2 German Shepherds who you're not getting through, I'm ready for you on the other side of the door with about six sidearms. So get ready. Tyler, how do you, ouch, sorry, I sprained my hand and I just bumped it on something. How do you feel about what's going on with D.C.? I know a lot of people feel some kind of way about Trump saying, you know what, this is the nation's capital. We cannot have it be a toilet bowl. We're going to clean it up. They're even picking up garbage, not just garbage people, but garbage off the streets. They're doing everything they can to get it under control. And you've got people who are supposed to be doing this job crying in their soup because somebody else had to come in and handle it. Do you like what's happening?
I mean, first of all, I haven't been there firsthand, so I have no personal experience in it. But from what I'm seeing, absolutely. I mean, I used to go in D.C. quite a bit when I was in the military, and look, crime in D.C. has been out of control for a long time now.
Long time.
Or I should say, it's been bad for a long time. It's been out of control. We all know when that started. Mm-hmm. That being said, I hope as soon as they're done with D.C., they need to send them over to Los Angeles because, I have these, it's the same system. It's the same, this system of mismanagement. Of course, by the way, that they're saying that there's nothing wrong. And the reason quite frankly, they have to say that. Because if they don't say that, then they have to admit that they're the problem and the creator of the problem. So, of course, they're saying nothing's wrong because the alternative is admitting fault. Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to say very quickly about the National Guard troops, it's something I've heard that is kind of crazy to me, is I don't think, these people that are complaining about the National Guard, oh my God, the military, blah, blah, blah. Yes, the National Guard is the military. Yes, that's true. However, the National Guard is, generally not the active duty military. Mm-hmm. National Guard members work or are doing, military things 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year. My point that I'm making is those people have regular jobs, have regular lives, and are contributing members of, society in the states and districts that they live, and then they come together, under the National Guard to serve in various different ways. But to act like these aren't just members of the community doing something extra, like there's something outside of regular citizens, to me is ridiculous. And I think they're doing a great job, but I think people need to understand that the National Guard are just people who have regular jobs and are volunteering to do something, extra, and it's amazing, and they shouldn't be treated like they're these jackbooted thugs, in the military coming in. It's just ridiculous to me.
It is.
And that's a narrative that I think needs to change.
You can't get the left to listen to anything, though. They're already smarter than all of us and know everything there is to know. That's why they want to be socialists, because that's never happened before, so they're going to do it again. When it comes to Los Angeles, I lived there for 5 years. That is a crap hole for the most part, and it's gotten worse since I was there, and it's because nobody's doing anything.
When did you live there?
I lived there in the late 80s and early 90s. Yeah.
Oh, so. you.
I missed the really fun part. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Los Angeles in the 80s and 90s was the golden age compared to what it looked like even in 2010. I can tell you, I lived there. Obviously, we talked about SEAL Team. We filmed. A lot of people don't know because we hit it well, but SEAL Team was filmed in Los Angeles for the entire time, except for a few times we went out of the country. But other than the trips out of the country, it was filmed in Los Angeles. We filmed downtown, etc. And I can tell you that, when tourists go to Hollywood and they're walking down the Hollywood, Boulevard Walk of Fame, they're stepping over homeless people, with needles in their arms. And again, that's not hyperbole. That's a fact. I did that for literally years. It's so unbelievable to me of how bad Los Angeles is, and how just this area that we push out to the world as this amazing piece of America is actually A, dangerous, B, dirty, and 3, just the opposite of the image that we portray. Yeah. And so, when he's done in D.C., get out to Los Angeles and start to clean that place up because it needs it. And it got disproportionately worse after COVID, like, quite frankly, most of these big cities in the U.S. did.
And I hope they get a little bit detoured and hit Chicago before they head that way, because they need some serious help. Pritzker's a stinking liar.
No doubt about it.
Heavyweight liar, as I just took a stab at him. All right, so serving as long as you did and watching what's going on in this country, I can't help but wonder if you think there are parallels to what you had to fight now kind of showing up on the streets of America. It's almost like it's coming here.
Which part do you mean specifically?
The whole, where there's just disregard for human life. Certain groups are warring with other groups, so you have to go break up these battles. You have to go in and save people from these horrible conditions. You have to do all these things when you're in on a SEAL team. But right now it seems like in America, we're in danger if we disagree with somebody, if we're trying to drive through a protest line. I mean, we're stuck in a war zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's I personally, as bad as things are, I got to be honest, I feel like the worst part, I feel like we're, last year I feel like things were worse. Because we were being told that everyone was on the same sheet. Oh, we all want this. And now we at least know for a fact that the majority of Americans don't want to go that direction. That has been proven in the last election. And therefore, I feel like at least now, and I'm not saying we don't have a ton of problems. We do, and there's a lot of things we have to fix. And but I feel like now, at least we're as a community going, you know what, that is not a direction we got to go. There's still people holding on to that, no question, but I feel like the majority of Americans are on the same sheet of music. And I think the last piece that to your point, that is absolutely critical to solve, look at what the mayor of D.C. said, I believe it was yesterday, about the crime getting better in D.C. with with what Trump's done there. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy. I felt bad for her almost, because you could hear the political handcuffs that she was wearing when she was essentially saying that what was done was good, but she couldn't say it because of her political affiliation. And I feel like we need to get to the point in this country where we can say that we can disagree with our own parties. We can disagree with, we can disagree without being enemies. Right. And right now, that is not happening. And that is the point we need to get to, where we can band together as Americans for a common goal and common good and say, you know what, I don't necessarily agree with everything you believe, but you know what? We can all agree on this, and let's move forward to that. Yeah. We all need to get a little bit more, because there's so much that is just such common sense, and because we can't agree with each other on the other side, that is preventing, I think, the last piece of major progress that we need to make in this country, and that's something I hope we can steer towards.
Well, it never ceases to amaze me that they're out there protesting Trump and the fact that he's stopping murder. I'm like, so now you're mad at Trump because he doesn't like murder. Makes perfect sense.
Let me say, and again, this is not, but just think about what I'm going to tell you something that is so absolutely crazy that I don't think people have really, I've never heard anyone say this, but just hear me out on this. You've got people calling the guy that's for Israel Hitler. Think about that. Yeah. Think about that for a minute. You know what I mean? It's like, that is bananas. Yeah. I mean, how can anyone with a straight face go, yeah, that guy's Hitler? You mean the guy that's for the Jewish community? Yeah, he's Hitler. That is absolute insanity. And that is people that are just quite obviously not living in demonstratable reality. Those people are quite frankly seeing the world as they wish it was, not as the way it is. And we need to get everyone together to start living in what is demonstratable reality, because what truth is what corresponds with reality, and that is what is going to help push us towards progress.
We got to pray for that, because delusional people will fight you to their death. That's pretty much where you're at.
100%.
He's an actor. He's a star of SEAL Team, former Delta Force operator, and now author of a book called Forged in Chaos, a warrior's origin story. His name is Tyler Gray. Tyler, thanks for your time today. I know you're a busy dude. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.